Prabhupada, Paramahamsa Prabhupada, Asiddhar, Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swaraj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande, glorious to Sangoti, all glorious to Shri Guranga. Om Bhagyan Timanandasya, Janjana Samataya, Chaturvitam Yena, Tarvai Shri Guruve Namaha, Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam, Stavitam Yena Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadamaya, Tadati Swapadatikam, Vandeham Shri Guru, Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam, Shri Guru Vaisnavam Shah, Shri Rupam Sagratam Sagna Ragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Vridana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakam Vidam Shah. Hey Krishna Karna Sriyo Yinavado Jagate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Mosade Hasta Kanchan Orangi Radhe Vrindavan Shri Vrishabhanu Sute Nanamami Rikriye Vanchagapa Jivishra Kripa Sivivcha Padinanam Bhavadino Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Jagvindadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Which verse are we reading from?
33. No purpose, Maharaj. 33, 40.
Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 10, canto 10, chapter 61. Lord Balaram slays with me. Text 33. Just then a voice from the sky declared, Balaram is fairly won his wager. Rukmini is surely lying. Urged on by the wicked kings, Rukmini ignored the divine voice. In fact, destiny itself was urging Rukmini on. Thus he ridiculed Lord Balaram as follows. Rukmini said, You coward who wander about the forest, know nothing about dice. Playing with dice and sporting with arrows are only for kings, not for the likes of you. Thus insulted by Rukmini and ridiculed by the kings, Lord Balaram was provoked to anger. In the midst of the auspicious wedding ceremony, he raised his club and struck Rukmini dead. The king of Kalinga, who had laughed at Lord Balaram and shown his teeth, tried to run away, but the furious Lord quickly seized him on his 10th step and knocked out all his teeth. Tormented by Lord Balaram's club, the other kings fled in fear, their arms, thighs, and heads broken, and their bodies drenched in blood. When his brother-in-law Rukmini was slain, Lord Krishna neither applauded or protested, O king, for he feared jeopardizing his affectionate ties with either Rukmini or Balaram. Then the descendants of Darshahara, headed by Lord Balaram, seated Aniruddha and his bride on a fine chariot, and set off from Bojakata for Dwarka. Having taken shelter of Lord Madhusudana, they had fulfilled all their purposes. Purport. Even though Rukmini was very dear to all the Darsaharas, her brother Rukmini had constantly opposed and insulted Krishna since Rukmini's wedding. Thus, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains, the associates of Lord Krishna could hardly prevent Rukmini's sudden demise. This end the purpose of the humble services of Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, on the 10th canto, 61st chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, titled Lord Balaram Slaves Rukmini. Namo Vishnu Guraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhagavate Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Dharamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskatya De Siddharne. Generally in the Srimad Bhagavatam we need a purport to understand what is being said by these personalities who are speaking Bhagavatam. But it's assumed that when one comes to the 10th canto, that one already has spiritual senses. And that simply by hearing the pastimes of Krishna, one is actually on the spiritual platform of experience. And if we're not on that platform, then we generally read the Srimad Bhagavatam simply out of systematically. But the idea that by hearing the Bhagavatam, then if there's any lust remaining in the heart, then especially the 10th canto, then all the material contamination is taken away. And when it comes to the spontaneous platform. But that's assuming that we actually have spiritual senses and that we can actually hear the Bhagavatam as it really is. Prabhupada said, if you want to enter into fire, you have to become like fire. If you want to enter into water, you have to become like water. So if we actually want to enter the Bhagavatam, we have to come to the Shuddha Sattva platform. And the other 9 cantos are meant to give us the information so that we can practice and eventually come to that platform. Generally speaking, the system is we hear, but we only know if we heard something if we can remember it. For instance, if we tell someone something and then we ask them, well, we give the Bhagavatam class, and we ask them the next day, what was the class about? Most of the time the devotees will forget. But if we say, I owe you $2,000, and then we ask them, what did I ask you? Yeah, you owe me $2,000. So somehow or another they'll remember that idea. The other seems kind of like vague and too difficult to remember. How can I possibly remember that? But certain selective things that we're interested in, we remember very easily. So the first thing we have to do is listen, and listening means implies that we actually remember what we heard. Otherwise, we don't really gain very much. Maybe some gain, but it's imperceptible. Prabhupada said that the elephant eats this much of food, and every day he passes this much stool. There's really not any gain. So even if we remember, then still we have to be able to see what's going on here. We have to have a perspective that Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, they not only give us knowledge, but they give us perspective on that knowledge, how it fits into reality. Because without perspective, we don't know how to utilize it. We may remember so many things, like a parrot can also remember so many things. A parrot can also chant 16 rounds of these, or 64. You teach it. You go, Hare Krishna, Krishna. But at the time of death, if you grab his throat, go, it's going to forget the Hare Krishna. Because he has no real perspective on what he's doing. He's just doing it. So we have to see what the knowledge means so we can apply it. So unless we apply the knowledge, then it won't be revealed to us. As in the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada's purport to the 434, that yes, the knowledge dharmam sakshat bhagavat pranitam, the knowledge given by Krishna is real dharma. And that knowledge comes from Krishna's representative, who repeats the same knowledge, otherwise he's not a representative. If someone's selling something on behalf of a company, but then he decides he's going to make extra profit by selling his own merchandise in the name of the company, he's no longer representing the company. And that's when he repeats the message of Krishna. The one is no longer representing Krishna, he's not actually a representative. So that knowledge, it comes from Krishna's representative. Tarko Pratishta Shrutiya Vibhina Nasa Vrishiriyasya Nabhina Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhayam Mahadno Yedakatha Sabhanda. It is not just by argument, although argument sometimes is accepted, if it actually brings us the knowledge of the truth, nor by independent study of books of knowledge, and one understand the truth. Nor by even approaching sages who have all different opinions. Dharmasya tadvam nihitam guhayam. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciple succession from the Lord himself. One who actually just repeats Krishna's message, but just like Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami was like a parrot, compared to a parrot, that if there's a fruit, then when the parrot touches the fruit with its beak, it becomes sweeter. So it's not that one simply repeats rote, word only rote, but one has to have some realization. And one should accept the spiritual master in full surrender and serve him like a menial servant without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination of the spiritual understanding. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. One should not only hear submissively, but one should get a clear understanding through submission, service, and inquiry. So we want perspective. We want a clear understanding, and that's only possible with a combination of not only inquiry and submission, but also service. We have to follow, according to our ability, according to our understanding, the instructions. That blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned, that one should not only hear submissively, but one should get a clear understanding through submission, service, and inquiry. So unless there is submission and service, inquiries and service constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One should be able to pass the test of the spiritual master. And when the spiritual master sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses him with genuine spiritual understanding. And then blind following, absurd inquiries are condemned. One should not only hear submissively, one should get a clear understanding through submission, service, inquiries. The spiritual master is by nature very kind to the disciple. When the disciple is always submissive, is ready to render service, then the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect. So, there's a process and there's a life called devotional service. which will gradually purify us and bring us to the proper mood of Krishna consciousness, the proper way of hearing. If we're in the Bali concept of life, this philosophy is like a fairy tale. Because we can't relate to it. We're only relating to the body. And as soon as we relate to the body, service to the body, kamadinam katida palitas dorni deshas, then the result is that we'll be in anxiety. Guaranteed, because that's how the whole nature is created, to put the living entity in anxiety. As long as the living entity has no spiritual understanding, avidya, then he must accept asmita, a false ego. As soon as he accepts the false ego, along with the false ego comes raga and dvesha, attachment and aversions. As soon as there's attachments and aversions, then we'll be fearful, abhiniveshita, especially of death, our impending death, where we'll lose everything. So we'll be very protective of everything we have, so that these, as Shukadeva Goswami, these sannyashu, our fallible soldiers, will protect us. Everything we have, we surround ourselves with, is more or less different layers of protection, so that we'll be protected from Yamaraj, the agents of death. But they're Pashanapi, they're all fallible. They themselves, nothing in this material world lasts. And it's all completely beyond our control. We can't stop one atom from changing. Therefore, we'll always be abhiniveshita. The more we become absorbed in the nature, the more we'll be fearful and anxiety of death and other things that lead up to death. Therefore, tests. One should be able to pass the test of the spiritual master, and when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses him with genuine spiritual understanding. So we can't expect that this material world is going to be a happy place for us. We become devotees. Prasadam will always be on time, exactly what we want. The weather will always be perfect. Everyone will be friendly to us. Everything will be fair and just in our life. No, then we want to stay here. We find a comfortable place in the material world. Krishna doesn't want us to stay here. So there will be so many tests. Not that Krishna has created them out of nothing, but according to the Bhagavatam, Tatein kampam susavikshamano punjani kritam vipakam ridvagva bhuvir vididannamaste jiveta san bhukti sade sabhaya dayava. We already are conditioned. No one has to convince us that we're conditioned. We already identify ourselves with this gross and subtle material body. So where does that come from? It comes from our past activities. It's not that we're unfairly put into a material body. We've gotten exactly what we deserve, and to a certain extent what we wanted. And because we wanted these things, therefore there is a reaction that comes along with them. And so we've gotten this body. And since we're an illusion, we have to understand this because of our past misdeeds. Now to get out of that illusion is not so easy. If we don't try to get out of the illusion, it's not possible. Then we'll stay here forever in the 8,400,000 species of life. And we try to get out of the illusion. Yoga is chalati manasa. Maya will try to delude us by so many different allurements. Especially in the material world, the positive is so-called wealth and women, or wealth and men, depending which gender you have. And the negative is all the problems that come with it. Old age, disease, and death, and having to take birth again. Therefore, difficulty will be there, but if one is there to help us come to the platform of conviction. It's easy to love people if they love you. It's very difficult to love people if they hate you. But we can't really develop our love simply by being surrounded by people who love us. Our love will to be developed probably more intensely if we can love people who hate us. So that's the challenge. But it's not the challenge that we came to the material world for. No one came here to be hated. Let me come to the material world and have a hard time. But that's the way how we get out of the material world. Because in the spiritual world there's nothing but love. And here there's nothing but illusion. And therefore we think something is going on outside of Krishna, something is arranged which is outside of Krishna's control, something is unjustly I'm being put into some unjust situation which I don't deserve because I'm a good person. Then we'll never be able to Ashisha Vapadamana Samamadarshama Mahatam Kurutava Itata Vidata Lampato Manprana Tastu Sevanapara. Then we can repeat that every day and not believe it at all. Or maybe it's all right for Radharani, let Krishna crush everything, don't crush me. Radharani is just more surrendered than I am. But Krishna, stay away if you're gonna leave me brokenhearted and trample me underneath his feet. I got enough problems, but I don't need problems from you too. Someone has to, if we want to learn conviction, and only through conviction can we remain steady in our Krishna consciousness. The more we become convinced by experience, but then the more we don't become distracted by so many different allurements that take our mind away from Krishna. And even if we're come to the platform of liberation, where we're not distracted by material circumstances, material conceptions, still we have to develop skill. It's not just negative, we're trying to get out of the material world. We're also trying to develop positive, loving exchanges with the devotees. So that takes practice also. And then even if we develop positive relations with the devotees, with Krishna, come to the liberated platform, and that's what we're trying to work on. Ishvare Tadadiyeshu Pulishesu Dusasvita Premamaitri Kripo Peka Yet Kroti Samadhimaha. To see Krishna with the eyes of love, not Krishna, you're so wealthy, you're so generous, and I'm so poor, I need so much help. Krishna, in everyone's heart, you know exactly what I need. Don't embarrass me by asking for me. Just give it to me. So that's material. It's all in the line of idam te na paskaya, idam, what did I say? Idam, no. Ya idam, imam te paskaya, that so much wealth do I have today. Idam ajamaya ladva, manoradha. Idam ajamaya ladva. Idam asti apime. Pravishati Prahladananda. Ishvaram hambogi saraham balavan sukhi. Ajo vidarvanasmi kanyosti sarvi shamaya. Yaksheda shamyok modisha ityaganam vimohita. Idam te nada paska. Idam ajamaya lavva. So much I've gained today. Idam te nada. Idam ajamaya lavva. Imam prapsa manoradha. Idam astiya apime. So much wealth have I done, and so much wealth I'll get in the future. He is my enemy, and I've killed him. And all my other enemies will be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am perfect, I am powerful, and I am happy. I am surrounded by rich, aristocratic relatives. I will give some sacrifice. I will give some charity, and this I will rejoice. In this way the demoniac will be bewildered by ignorance. So that's material consciousness. And if we're not And Maya will always present these things to us. And it seems perfectly logical and rational that according to the standards of material existence, I've been cheated, I've been robbed, I've been abused, and I should take the necessary method or what's necessary for justice in the material world. We're going to create justice in the material world. Justice amongst the thieves. I'm a thief, we're all thieves. Well, amongst the thieves, we have to establish a system of justice. Group of thieves, they go and rob a bank, and then the head thief stands up and says, "My dear fellow thieves, now that we've robbed the bank, please, I beg of you, please let us do one thing. Let us divide the money up honestly." So they're all thieves, but now they want to establish honesty amongst the thieves. So justice should be there, mode of goodness, but sometimes it doesn't work out the way we like it to be. It wasn't the Kauravas, they killed Abhimanyu unjustly by attacking him with 6 Maharathis. So that was injustice. Ashwatthama killed the 5 sleeping sons of the Pandavas. That was unjust. But what can be done? We're living in a world of injustice. However much we may try to establish injustice, this world is meant for injustice. The only just thing is to become Krishna conscious, to do things for Krishna. And then Krishna sent something like Maharaj Parikshit was cursed to die in 7 days, then to utilize it as an impetus to develop Krishna consciousness. So he utilized it to sit there for 7 days and nights without drinking, without eating, and just hearing the Bhagavatam, to develop his skill even more in the loving relationships by associating with Krishna and his devotees. Then one can completely enter into the Krishna consciousness and have the characteristics of a pure devotee. And one of the characteristics of a pure devotee is that he loves Krishna, the most important thing. And therefore he loves everything. When he hears about these pastimes, he's actually in Krishna consciousness. He's actually living the pastimes, experiencing the spiritual senses. Krishna says, "Yatro paramate jitam nirudao yoga sevya yatra chevatmanatmanam pashiri dushkati sukhamadyanti kanmir tad buddhigrahim tindriyam ediyasrana chayavam sitam chalati tatvataha yam lava chavalamba lamba manitena dikamtata yasmin sitona dukena karuna pivichalyate tam vidya dukusam yogam viyogam yogasam gitaha." Everyone here knows Sanskrit? Oh, I guess so. Everyone's happy. That stage, well, I'll give the translation just for my sake, because I don't know Sanskrit. That stage of perfection is called trance samadhi, when one's mind is completely absorbed, completely restrained from material mental activities. This is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind, and to relish and rejoice in that self. In that joyous state, one is situated in balanced transcendental happiness and enjoys himself from transcendental senses. Established that, thus, one never departs from the truth. And upon gaining this, one thinks that there's no greater gain. This is indeed actually happening. This is actually indeed transcendental experience beyond material misery. So we have transcendental senses. And when we come to the platform of Krishna consciousness, we can experience unlimited happiness. But we have to come to that platform by giving up our attachment to this drama that's going on here, that we think we're the heroes and the heroines in. That we think we have some amazing part to play in the history of the universe. And that we have to play our role. And in the meantime, be recognized as the hero of this whole drama. Brahma's playing a supporting role, the sun god's playing a supporting role, Everyone's playing a supporting role in our drama to become the supreme in this universe. That the sun will come up in the morning and realize the only reason why it comes up is to shine on me. So we have to give that up. Nanyan deha deha bhaja malido ke kastan kaman arate vidu jamye tapo divyam putraka yena satvam shugat tasman brahma sokyam pranamtam. And our Rishabdes advise his sons, just don't get interested in this hog and dog business. Try to perform divine austerity by which you become purified and which you can enjoy unlimited happiness which goes on forever. So that we have to see as our challenge. We're attached to so many things, but at least in the meantime we should try to develop our attachment to Krishna. By hearing the Bhagavatam, even this pastime is rather interesting. We may not be able to fully appreciate it. Still it's interesting. Balaram taking his club. I mean, generally when we see Lord Jagannath, he's always smiling, but it's a good idea. This pastime reminds us we shouldn't get him angry. Especially if it's a club. That was one little stroke he killed with me. And then knocked out the teeth of the king of Kalinga, broke the bones, the arms and legs, and the heads of those who opposed him. So he seems pretty sweet, gentle, but don't get him angry. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions? Comments? Yes.
Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, you were saying it is easy to love the people who love us, and it is difficult to love the people who don't love us. How can we love those also who doesn't love us?
Practice. Try to do some service to them. First of all, Krishneti yasa giritam manasadriyeta. That if one is chanting the holy name, at least we should respect them within our minds. We don't have to fall over in ecstasy when we see them. But at least within our minds we should respect them, because they're chanting Hare Krishna. So we have to practice it. We have to take what's our ability right now. First of all, who do we actually love? Do we feel in our heart when we look at anyone and we're just overwhelmed with feelings of love and affection? Is that how we feel when we look at everyone? So, but at least we should try to modify how we feel so it's positive. That we can do. The thought, thinking, feeling, and willing, at least we should try to get the proper thinking. Then maybe by absorbing our feeling and assimilating the knowledge and the philosophy and practice, being positive, and the iron will be kept in the fire, at least the iron of thinking, so that it'll get hotter and hotter and hotter, and then maybe some feeling will be there, something positive. And if there's some positive feeling, it may be, we may then do whatever we're doing in relation with care and attention at least, and then Krishna will gradually elevate us to the platform, actually be having the same qualities, the same characteristics as the pure devotee. That will take some time. At least we should keep on taking the iron out of the fire by accepting materialistic thoughts, offensive thoughts, and then we'll progress from there. Yes?
At some point, Marge was explaining the submission and service. How do we cultivate this attitude of submission and service?
Well, it's cultivated. Well, first of all, we have to hear from the right persons with the right attitude. If we hear from the wrong persons, and we have the wrong attitude, and the attitude is also, we have the wrong conception of who we're hearing from. In other words, Krishna says, Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta dikshasti tat pranatibis chabajadami sham shushu shaya chabajada ananya anya nidati sinyaridayam sita sandalabhya. We have to make sure, so that means that we should respect within our minds those who chant Hare Krishna. And we should cooperate with those who are actually, it says taking initiation, means they're not acting on a false ego platform. They're acting on a devotional platform, coming to civil succession. They may not be self-realized, but at least they're following a self-realized person. And we should take instructions and example for those who are absorbed in unalloyed devotional service and whose hearts are completely devoid of propensity to criticize others. But if we don't have the right perspective, even we have the proper, we have a positive attitude, but if we don't understand who to take example from, we don't have the proper understanding of how to follow, who to follow, where the source of the instruction should come through, then we may take someone as superior and follow their example and instructions and get disappointed because we don't become Krishna conscious. So we should know what the goal is. We should know who has actually has ability to give us instructions how to reach that goal. And by their example, and by their instructions, something to follow so we go reach that goal. So that we have to have. And therefore, Prabhupada, we come to this Hare Krishna movement with the understanding that Prabhupada is the Acharya. The Acharya means that his every activity, his every instruction is perfect, perfectly helping us become conscious of Krishna. For the mundane platform, someone may find defects, but the pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, whatever he was doing was an instrument of Krishna to help others become Krishna conscious. And one who's not interested in becoming Krishna conscious, who doesn't understand that that's what he was doing, will find so many things to criticize, because they have another objective. Matter of fact, they're much more likely to criticize, because their objective is the opposite. So, to develop the proper mood, we have to find the proper person. We've accepted, at least theoretically, that Krishna is God in our society, and that Prabhupada is his perfect representative, and therefore, if we're in the Hare Krishna movement, ISKCON, then we have to take advice and an example from those who are, as much as they've understood Prabhupada's instructions, and following it. And ultimately, the only way we can do that is by studying Prabhupada's books and seeing his example, hearing about it, watching it, whatever. And then we can see, if we do that, we can follow Prabhupada's example in these books and instructions, or others, but we should become conscious of Krishna. That's our goal. As it says, Nanda Namna Janamna Sundari, etc. Or at least, first of all, we should feel a little humble, submissive, that actually we're hearing from someone who knows something, so it's worthwhile listening. And then we should tolerate it, because our minds will give us so many problems. As soon as we try to hear, our minds will come up so many reasons why we have so many other things to worry about. And then, instead of actually appreciating what's being said and accepting it, then we'll think that actually this is adding on to my great knowledge that I have. I'm becoming so important because I have so much information to give people now. And thereby I become the savior. Instead of actually appreciating, learning, using that knowledge to appreciate others. See how nicely they're engaged in devotional service, rather than how nicely I'm engaged in devotional service. So that will establish submission within the right goal. Not that we're becoming submissive and we're gaining this experience of Krishna consciousness so we can find out how great we are. We're doing it to find out how great Krishna is and his devotees, not ourselves. Because we're insignificant and we're being elevated simply by the mercy of Krishna, so we can become a better instrument for him, a better appreciator of others. We can't become a better instrument of bhakti for Krishna unless we love others more and feel ourselves to be more their servant, not their master. Yes?
Krishna Maharaj, you were saying we have to perform austerity to purify ourselves. That's how we get attached. But that means sometimes when we perform austerity,
perform austerity and purify ourselves?
Well, as soon as we become proud, our austerity is ended. The real austerity is to give over a false ego. Not just to starve the body. I mean, Hiranyakashipu starved his body, but he couldn't give up his false ego. So his austerity was useless also. So we're doing austerity to help us become Krishna conscious, develop the proper attitude. If we starve, we become envious of everyone else is eating. Then we go in the opposite way. No, we may fast on Ekadasi to hear more about Krishna, so we can become more appreciative of Krishna and the devotees. Not that we're great Tyagi. Satsanga Tyagi, Vaishnavachara, Sri Sangha Ekapata, Krishna Bhakta Ara. So we have to give up this idea that simply by performing austerity we're becoming great, like the Hiranyakashipu or others. No, we're simply doing it according to our capacity to develop more feeling for Krishna and the devotees, not to develop a hard heart, start criticizing everyone, become puffed up, false ego. Then I'm performing austerity. We're not doing anything. We're simply following instructions so we can become Krishna conscious, and reducing eating naturally is there. That's very nice, because that will help us focus the mind, like Guru Maharaj, more on Krishna. It increases our false ego. Then our body may be starved, but our false ego is getting fed very nicely. Better starve the false ego and feed the body. Anything else? Yes. I can't hear.
I just want to ask, as you said, we need to read Prabhupada, and when we try to go specifically for the distribution, how to deal with rejections?
Rejections? How to deal with them? You know, you think most people, unless even if you're super empowered, do you think everyone came out in the street to get a book from the Hare Krishnas? And that you're being rejected. The people don't like your face, and therefore they're rejecting you. You go home and cry. I think that everyone should laugh at you. Oh. When you go out in the street, you look at, if someone comes up to you and offers you to sell you a Jehovah's Witness magazine, do you buy it every time? So you make him feel rejected. So you have to tolerate it. We're there as an instrument of Krishna, trying to find out who this book actually belongs to, who Krishna wants to give it to. And if we present it to the person that's not qualified or not interested, then they won't take it. It's just normal. You shouldn't feel that this is an insult against me. I'm so powerful, I'm so kind, I'm so compassionate. I've come here to save you, now you're rejecting me. That's not how people look at us. So, sir. On the other hand, we should be nice to people. We're offering them the greatest gift, and they don't accept it. That's up to them. We're not there to force someone to accept. If a father comes home and he's a policeman and says, "My dear son, love me," and the son says, "I don't feel any love for you," then the father takes out a gun and says, "Look, I'm giving you a choice. Either you love me or you're in trouble." It's not exactly the way of helping the son achieve the goal of love of the father. So people reject it, smile at them, say Hare Krishna, have a good day, be kind to them. So this is a great opportunity. As I said, you can't love, the way you actually deepen your love the most is when people aren't loving you, but you love them anyhow. So they're all Krishna's servants. By nature we love everyone if we have the proper vision. So we have to practice. So it's a great opportunity for practice. Anything else? Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, you explained that justice in material world. So even as a devotee, should we seek this path? Justice in material world.
Yeah, we want justice. I mean, Yamaraj, he gives justice, real justice. But we can't always expect it from everyone. Because we're living in a place where everyone's a cheater. And we're not Yamaraj. So sometimes we have to tolerate. The Pandavas were cheated out of their kingdom. They had to tolerate, they went to the forest. But ultimately, justice prevailed. Ultimately, justice will prevail. But not necessarily the way we think. But generally, Krishna has a plan. Yes?
Krishna Maharaj, please extend obeisances. You mentioned about tolerating just now. So how much does one has to tolerate? To what extent?
As much as one can. Dhruva Maharaj, he started gradually, he ate kapita fruits every third day. And then he only drank a little water every sixth day. And he only took dry leaves that fell from the tree every sixth day. Then the next month, he only drank a little water every ninth day. And then for the first month, he only took one breath of air every 12th day. So he did gradually, he tolerated. So we may be a little slower than Dhruva Maharaj. Let's learn tolerance gradually. Anything else? Thank you very much. Grandaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Kirtan, Adelaide. Leave a like and subscribe.